I've been diving for over a decade, and a handful of dive sites across the world rewired how I dive. I'm Don, and I've had the privilege to travel and dive a lot over the years, and only continue to journey forward today. These are the dives I still replay in my mind years later, where behavior, geology, and current collide in something unforgettable. Before each reveal, I'll give you a clue. Guess in the comments and keep your score to see how many you guess right. At the end, I'll share my personal number one. Let's dive on in. Located amongst other legendary dive sites known for a lot of current. This warm water destination, with areas that can be brushed with cold waters from deep upwellings from the Indian Ocean. This particular dive site sticks with me as it's a very interesting layout and a unique experience for a dive site. You start to dive in what they call the chamber, filled with life, teeming with small things to find. You can literally spend your whole dive there and be pretty comfortable. After some time of your dive though, you will start to move towards the shaft, where once you enter, you will be pushed through to a much more shallow area by an intense current and shot through the gun, so to say. On the other side, as you are shot out, you may see gigantic oceanic manta, reef sharks, and more as a cleaning station sits just on the other side of the current. This is the shotgun, or sometimes called the cauldron, in Indonesia's Komodo Islands. It technically counts as a drift dive, despite the start of the dive being generally pretty gentle in the chamber. Once you move into that narrow passageway though, prepare to embrace being a human diver bullet as you're shot out of that narrow passage. Just watch out for those mantas. Next, you won't believe how different the next dive site feels when the ocean decides the direction for you. Another dive site not super far away from the last, well, relatively, in the islands of Palau lies another famous dive site. And it's really hard to pick just one, but here I am submitting to pick just one here. With Palau's naturalistic approach to protecting its waters and life from commercial fishing, it's a true shark and wildlife sanctuary with beautiful and pristine waters that are teeming full of life. But in this particular narrow passage where you drift with the current alongside sharks, rays, large barracudas, and schooling fish, all heading the same way like a marine rush hour traffic. You drop in and immediately become part of the flow. There's no fighting this current, only reading it as a true drift dive. Gray reef sharks cruise past eye level, effortlessly holding their position. Spotted eagle rays glide above while barracuda stack into glittering tornadoes. And if you're lucky, you'll see some of the biggest barracuda at least I've ever seen. And the channel acts like a natural expressway, letting marine life travel between feeding and breeding areas while conserving energy. You're witnessing a migration lane that has worked this way longer than people have been naming diving sites. This is the Oolong Channel of Palau, where the gap between islands accelerates water into powerful, predictable drifts with beautiful coral and abundance of life. Now, for a wall that flips your expectations about reef color on their head. Most of the time we see reefs, we think vibrant, colorful colors, but imagine a place where divers actually go to see white coral. And no, it's not because it's stressed or dying. This white coral is full of life. In Fiji, there is such a wall where normally the coral is a bit more ugly because it's brown. But when the currents come through, it brings nutrient-rich waters where the corals transform white and the entire wall face turns white. Special soft corals cloak the wall, their pale polyps extended in the right current window, filtering sunlight into an ethereal blue glow. Timing matters here though, because that dazzling whiteout depends on the conditions lining up. This is the Great White Wall of Fiji, near Taveuni Island, a current-driven spectacle that feels like winter in the tropics. So if you're gonna go see the Great White Wall, I highly recommend you look at a calendar, contact a dive company, and ask them when you should be there to see the Great White Wall, because you can't see it all the time. Like I said, there's a window. They'll know what that window is and maybe even have it on their website, but you'll have to do a little bit of research. It's worth it, trust me. Okay, our next stop trades soft white coral for steel, history, and a chill up your spine. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video, now is a great time to like and subscribe. I post weekly content, help divers grow their skills, build confidence, and explore the ocean with curiosity and care. And by the way, I have a free monthly newsletter that keeps you up to date on the latest and greatest of diving industry. Check it out in the description below. I'll see you there. Next, we have a World War II submarine resting around 100 feet or 30 meters, where you can peer through torpedo tubes and see personal effects still scattered inside. The entire submarine can be seen as a recreational dive and has lots of life. It's important to try to do this dive site around when it hasn't rained recently, since rain can cause a lot of runoff from the island that drops visibility in the area drastically. But while there, you can move through the vessel where history feels close enough to touch as you swim through it. Shoes, cups, and tools lie where gravity and chaos left them. Marine growth now skins the hull, turning a weapon of war into a thriving artificial reef. The conning tower rises like a monument, while the torpedo room draws you into a shadowed geometry. This Japanese submarine sits in the Solomon Islands, part of the Seafloor Museum born in fierce naval battles of World War II. This is the I-1 Japanese submarine dive site just off Guadalcanal Island. If you're not overhead trained, stay within ambient light, mind your buoyancy or you will tilt out the place, and avoid contact with the structure. And while there's a lot of other cool wrecks around it as well that you have to see. Next, from ghost steel to dawn silver, let's meet a shark that hunts with its tail. Next, our adventure takes us to the Philippines, away from all the hustle and bustle of human life, to underwater seamounts that sit around 26 to 18 meters or 85 to 60 feet. From prehistoric looking sharks with impossibly long tails circle at first light, performing behaviors that still fascinate scientists. You descend in the dark and wait as the sky begins to brighten. Shadows start to rise from the deep water and become thresher sharks, tails longer than their bodies, moving in slow, deliberate loops. At this shallow cleaning station, divers can regularly see these deep water sharks with their own eyes, reliably, almost every day. These sharks are very cautious, but come to be cleaned, and as long as divers pose no threat, they will continue their ritual undisturbed. If you relax and remain calm in place, the curious sharks will start to circle you, growing ever so closer. It's a true and unique thresher experience. And what's remarkable is that these are the smallest of the thresher sharks, but trust me, they're not small. These are quite large sharks when you see them up close, and their eyes are crazy. These are the pelagic thresher sharks, seen at Monad Shoal near Malapascua in the Philippines, a mount that rises from deep water and concentrates that dawn life. The main sight to see there is the threshers, of course. They can sometimes change places due to rising threat of diver disturbances and tiger sharks, so this may change over time. Keep respectful distances. Avoid flash, which irritates these light-sensitive sharks, and hold position low to the ground and let the sharks choose to approach you. Now shrink your world to arm's length, because the next stars are smaller than your fingernail. Our next trip takes us a bit south to Indonesia, in a strait where you'd never expect so much life to be in abundance. From ghost ornate pipefish to hundreds of nudibranchs, flamboyant cuttlefish, and the blue ring octopus. These waters have it all, but you'd be surprised when you first see it. A black sand slope where the most colorful creatures are tiny, and every square meter hides aliens you've never seen before. You abandon blue water scanning and move inches above volcanic sand. A nudibranch the size of a rice grain shimmers like a designer's palette as you learn it's one of the only animals that can live off of photosynthesis. How cool is that? I've read some biologists even question if it's an animal or a living plant. You can make your own decision. Meanwhile, a harlequin shrimp clings to hydroid threads like a dancer with glass limbs. A boxing crab throws its tiny little anemone boxing gloves in your direction. The diving can be truly mind-blowing. But muck diving demands perfect trim and patience, especially around some of the most venomous creatures on the planet. They are not aggressive creatures, trust me. They are only defensive. But if you're touching them accidentally or purposefully, they may choose to be defensive. And remember, most venomous creatures in the planet. So back kicks and gentle fin pivots keep the bottom undisturbed. You want to have good buoyancy control and good trim and good propulsion technique for this level of muck diving. Use a focus light to help your camera lock on without blasting a harsh torch into sensitive eyes. Volcanic sediment and steady nutrients create a micro oasis where specialist predators and camouflage prey proliferate. This is the Nudi Falls of Indonesia's Lambay Strait, a biodiversity hotspot for critters found almost nowhere else. While I've chosen Nudi Falls for this video, it's a bit distinct. Many Lambay Strait dive sites are very similar and very good. Next, we jump to a place where reptiles, sharks, and the ocean's biggest fish ride the same itinerary. A remote coast where marine iguanas, schooling hammerheads, and mola molas, diving birds, and whale sharks can all be a part of the same trip to remote parts of this island chain in the Pacific. What island chain do you think this is? You might already be catching on. You drop into a chilly blue with a strong surge beating against black lava and a surprising abundance of beautiful soft coral that survives in cold water. Marine iguanas dive down to graze algae, exhaling salt in delicate white plumes and slowing their heartbeat to stretch that long breath hold. Elsewhere in the archipelago, hammerheads stack into living walls, while a whale shark materializes from the blue like a bus with fins. This is the Galapagos. Marine iguanas rule at one of my favorite dive sites of the Galapagos called Cape Douglas on Fernandina Island, along with batfish, the diving flightless cormorant, mola mola, Galapagos penguins, and more. Galapagos overall is home to a lot more, and Fernandina is just one of the stops you'll make on a liveaboard there. It stands out as one of my favorite dive sites overall and is filled with unique life. Mind the swell near the rocks. Keep your profile streamlined. Bring a thick wetsuit or better yet, a dry suit, and watch the down current for surprise silhouettes of a mola mola. And I'm sure you'll love Cape Douglas too. Next, from the equatorial cold back to temperate giants, let's head north to meet two celebrities. A rocky pinnacle in cold water where octopuses grow bigger than most people, and wolf eels the size of logs guard their dens like underwater dragons. You trade that tropical warmth for the Pacific Northwest chill, demanding dry suits for comfortable diving. A giant Pacific octopus unfurls from a crevice, skin flashing patterns as it studies you with an eye the size of a saucer. A wolf eel 6 feet long and wiser than you watches from its den with its mouth built to crush urchins and crabs. And hordes of rockfish, lingcod, sculpins, anemones, and nudibranchs. And some of the prettiest nudibranchs I've ever seen. It's a beautiful cold water dive site, near and dear to me where I live in Seattle. Cold water means more dissolved oxygen and slower metabolisms, which helps creatures grow larger and live longer. This is Sun Rock in Washington State, a nutrient-rich dive site where giants feel at home. Now for proof that protection can turn a desert into a sanctuary. Our next stop takes us to a protected bay where bull sharks patrol a wreck in numbers that seemed impossible a couple of decades ago. You drop to a scattered deck, a hardly recognizable wreck, and a sandy bottom. In moments, you count not one, not two, but a whole squad of bull sharks circling the perimeter. They're powerful predators, but here they pace like wary neighbors, curious and composed. And what's interesting is they're all female bull sharks performing some kind of ritual. No diver's ever been harmed at that dive site. So while that dive site is sacred to the bull sharks, we're there to visit and show them respect to their temporary home while they're performing the ritual that they do. This is Cabo Polmo, Mexico, a community-driven marine park that rebounded from heavy overfishing into one of the best recovery stories as an underwater sanctuary. Bull sharks often patrol this dive site called El Vencedor, and the surrounding reefs now bristle with life from top to apex. This dive site is very exclusive though, often hard to get permits to visit. Check with your local operators and prefer to stay in Cabo Polmo for best odds to be able to visit. Stay off the bottom, keep calm body language, and never chase those bull sharks. Here, they can be viewed safely as they are not aggressive and they are there to perform the ritual that we still do not fully understand. However, chasing surely won't end well when it involves a bull shark. They're big sharks. From recovery success, let's head far offshore to a volcanic arena where pelagic headliners meet. Our last stop takes us to a remote seamount in the blue infinity where giant mantas, dolphins, silky sharks, and Galapagos sharks, and in the right season, whale sharks converge like it's a summit meeting. This is a 5-star resort for large pelagic animals that are migrating and need to take a rest to recuperate. Deep in the Pacific, a volcanic pinnacle rises into the underwater diving range and turns current into life. Giant oceanic mantas sweep by with huge wingspans, making unhurried eye contact. Bottlenose dolphins carve arcs through shoals while silky sharks thread the edge of the action. When plankton swells, a whale shark cruises their thermocline like a living zeppelin that all the sharks start towards and rub against to clean their skin off. It is amazing to see. The seamount upwelling acts like an oasis in the open ocean, delivering nutrients that draw pelagics from astonishing distances. This extraordinary place is the Boiler at San Benedicto in Mexico's Reviligado archipelago, or often referred to as Socorro. Another nearby island, or rather dive site, is Roca Partida, which often adds even more species density when conditions align. It's the kind of place where the entire highlight reel can happen in one dive. What ties all these places together isn't just the animals. It's the way currents, structure, and timing unlock behaviors, as only divers get to see all of this action at Socorro, because what's important is what's happening beneath the waves. Ultimately, each site has something extraordinary to offer and shows rare behaviors most divers never get to see. And these are, of course, just ones that I've visited so far. I'm sure you might have a whole bunch of dive sites to add to my list as well that I may not have dove yet. Every time I visit somewhere new, I find 10 more places, learn from other divers I have to visit, and the journey and wonder are truly endless. My top pick though, so far, is the Boiler at San Benedicto. At first light with a building lee current, when mantas begin to dance as dolphins frolic around you. A dive site I'll never truly forget. Of course, some of these are luck-based and your mileage may vary with your own experiences. But what is your top 5 dive sites? Let me know in the comments below so I and others can extend this ever-growing list. And if you're in the mood for travel, I have this series which will go into more detail about different destinations here, or you can try your luck with this video here, which YouTube thinks you'll like. The more you know, the more you'll love, and protect the ocean. Until next time.